This audio presentation is designed to provide information that will increase your awareness of the factors that contribute to interpersonal difficulties among coworkers and to provide tools for responding to those difficulties. Issues may arise when working with someone you consider to be difficult. Your interactions with them makes you aware that communication, collaboration, and sharing space with them can be challenging. You may have come to the realization that they are not good team players. These interpersonal work difficulties often affects our job satisfaction. Therefore, having effective ways to cope with a difficult coworker makes it possible to minimize the impact the coworker's negative behavior has on you. The probability that you will work with someone who you find difficult to deal with is highly likely. Because all groups are composed of people who may differ in their beliefs, background, personality, and style of relating. When we are part of a work, social, familial, or fraternal group, we'd like to believe that the fundamental things that are common about our group membership would be enough to keep us cooperating, producing, and moving toward that outcome that the group's mission outlines. We may have many things in common, but seldom is there perfect cohesiveness. If you are not comfortable with conflict, you might tend to avoid directly addressing problems with a coworker who is causing difficulties in the workplace or in your relationship with them. Certain family or personal beliefs may cause us to view conflict as opening Pandora's box, fearing all kinds of unexpected, negative, and troublesome things will pop out. Further, some believe that once the box is open, things will not be the same. However, when we can effectively address conflict, things can actually become better. For relationships to have the potential to be better, we must feel confident dealing with conflict. There are a number of steps that are helpful in knowing how you might proceed in addressing problems in your relationship with coworkers who you find to be difficult. When we begin to recognize that some problems in relationships originate out of our differences, we are more inclined to not attribute the reason for the conflict to some mean and unkind motive. One author has said, "It is not what we don't like about the person, but what we don't know about them that causes the rift." We are more likely to consider our own biases and recognize the universality of viewing things through your own personal lens. The first step in addressing conflict is to be thoughtful in how you assess and identify the source of the difficulties with a coworker. This initial step makes the difference in how you proceed. In other words, will the information you gain facilitate you coping with the difficult coworker without ever having to address the problem you see? Or will the information lessen the severity of the offense so that your conversation with them about the problem seems easier to discuss? It is good to identify what the real offense or problem behavior is and its impact on you. Determining the level of seriousness of the offense will help you know what other options you should utilize in resolving this difficulty beyond those that you initiate with a coworker. For example, if you can't get resolution of the problem behavior with your coworker, you may need to consider consulting with management. Although working with someone who is an incessant talker or complainer would not be the most desirable situation to be in, that situation is not as concerning as working with someone whose behavior poses a threat to your ability to perform your job. Likewise, when a coworker's problem behavior is infrequent, we may not be affected in the same way as we are when the problem behavior is chronic and frequent. Asking yourself, what level of disturbance to my work life does this person's behavior pose, will determine to what extent you want to address the problem behavior. In review, we first assess Is this difficulty I'm experiencing with my coworker about cultural, gender, ethnic, or other differences? We also assess, is the problem behavior that I'm noticing annoying or distracting versus threatening or undermining? You want to deal with your coworker's problem behavior in an assertive and open manner. This is important because you don't want to engage in behaviors that lead you to being viewed as a difficult coworker. So avoid complaining to others about your coworker. As you plan to move ahead in this second step, thoroughly and carefully decide what you will do based on the information you have. Remember, you are in a position now to have a well-planned and well-thought-out approach as opposed to an emotional reaction only. After applying a certain litmus test to the information you have gathered, you may decide that behavior is something you can now ignore. Your planned approach to address this situation should first take into consideration the best time to talk with your coworker. Other factors that will make for a successful outcome in your discussion with the coworker include avoiding taking a blaming stance, so as not to have your coworker feel defensive. It has been said many times, don't come to me with a problem if you don't have a solution. This quote most often refers to what bosses say to their employees, but the sentiment can be true in any situation where there is an attempt to resolve conflict. Therefore, when bringing to a coworker your concerns about their problem behavior, be prepared to let them know what you want to be different about your working relationship with them. The third step focuses on communication, listening, and openness. Good communication skills are key in handling conflict. By the time you're ready to communicate with your coworker, hopefully you are not so emotionally charged. Taking time to assess what might be causing the conflict and reflecting on how you are affected by the problem behavior helps to diffuse things for you. Therefore, you are more likely to communicate what your concern is and how the behavior in question has affected you in a manner that will set a non-threatening tone. Using I statements is key. For example, I am distracted and find it difficult to focus on my work when the volume of your music is turned up. You want to be careful to not fill up the space with your concerns only. Allow your coworker time to respond. This demonstrates to them that you are interested in what they have to say. Asking your coworker for input on how they think this situation could be resolved is a great gesture of goodwill. You want to remain open to seeing things in a different light if your coworker provides information that changes your perspective. Our thoughts influence our feelings. Sometimes new information causes our feelings to change. Follow-up is always good. It's an important step toward bringing closure to a situation. If your coworker's behavior improves, you should provide positive and appreciative acknowledgement of that. Everyone likes to receive positive feedback, acknowledging their efforts to remedy a situation. If, on the other hand, your coworker's behavior doesn't improve even after they agree to change their behavior, you'll need to either readdress the matter with them or discuss the matter with your supervisor. If you discuss the matter with your supervisor, share with the supervisor all of the steps taken so far to resolve this problem. In stressful situations of any type, it's important to practice good self-care. How well you take care of yourself through exercise, a good support system, proper rest, and proper diet all create a buffer, if you will, so that the impact of the stressful situation is lessened. Personal assistance service can be one of your resources for dealing with the stress caused by working with a difficult coworker. Personal assistance service is a confidential resource available at no charge to Duke faculty, staff, and their immediate family members. If you want to make an appointment with personal assistance service, call 919-416-1727 The counselors are available Monday through Friday from 7 a.m. to 6 p.m.